Hi there, Joan for Leaves and Leashes, and I'd like to talk about overwintering plants. Here we are, the first week of September. Kids are back to school, and the idea is now, what do I start doing for fall? This means changing out our containers and discarding some of those well-loved annuals that we've enjoyed all summer long. Things that I would never consider overwintering: petunias, impatiens, geraniums. The garden center will be fresh and waiting for you next spring to replenish those items. Things people do consider more to overwinter: tropical plants and maybe some foliage plants. A few tips: make sure you trim them back some, take off some of that older growth, clean up the bottom of the little pot of any fallen leaves and debris, and make sure you put them in the sunniest window you have. Maybe give them some fertilizer once a month and treat them just like you would a good house plant during the winter months. But I have to give you a word of caution. I don't do it. Why? You're not only bringing in that favorite plant, you're also potentially bringing in pests, aphids, and some other insects that have been kept at bay by Mother Nature's predators that are allowed to interact once they're in the garden. When you bring them indoors, all those predators are not there any longer, and this could lead to having those insect pests transition onto your favorite houseplants, ones that you've been coveting as a plant parent, and now you have to deal with the decisions and how to take care of that. Do you need to treat them with insecticide, or does it simply lead to losing your favorite plant overall? Something we don't want to do. The next thing to consider is the mess. So the sun is pretty intense outdoors, even in the fall. And when you transition to the indoors, the light intensity is no longer what it was, even if it's in your western facing patio window. And what happens is the plants drop their leaves and make a mess on your floor, something else that you need to tend to and clean up. And I never like that chore. I just simply never do. And then, of course, the last thing to consider is the transition period. How will those plants look in the spring? The soil will be old and probably not as its best, so repotting will be super important. But the other thing to think about is you cannot take a plant from the home and bring it out into a full sun patio like this. The leaves that are on the plant will scorch, and it will set the plant back even further. So what you need to do is slowly step out the plant into the sun, keeping it into a shaded location, and then slowly easing it out into the environment where it once again can adapt to full sun. So those are some of my points on that, and I really think that overwintering most plants is most likely not an ideal thing for you to do. You can go back to the garden center and get something fresh and brand new to kick off the next spring season. However, there I have one plant that I definitely refuse to part with once the fall and the frosts come, and this is my fantastic lemon plant. Back in 2020, my family was seeking something to surprise me, a plant that I have not had yet in my garden, and they gave me just this cute little lemon plant with a little pretty lemon pot, and it was basically a twig with some leaves. Fast forward 5 years later, I have this glorious lemon tree. I treat it just like my annuals for the summer. She does get eased from the shade out into the full sun. It sets its flowers in November, and I will be enjoying these particular lemons somewhere around Christmas time, where I can have some spring lemonade. And yes, all those very things that I described do happen. The mess on the floor, the transition, and she's quite a little beast to get into my bedroom, but however, it does reward me with fragrant lemon scented flowers in the middle of the winter, and I do truly enjoy that. When it gets too big, I give it a bit of a prune. I'm not too picky. I will cut it harshly back, and it will reward me with these gorgeous new leaves. And again, one exception to the rule: if you do have that special plant that simply maybe needs to bear fruit and needs that time to grow, this is the one that I would choose to overwinter.